I'm gonna share with you guys today the most irrefutable laws of stock investing. Everything that I have learned over the past 25 years through trials and errors, I'm gonna share with you guys served on a silver plate. Only because you can invest, it does not mean that you should invest. Rule number one: only invest what you can afford to lose. Investing in individual stocks is risky. Rule number two: have a time horizon of minimum 5 years. That is because the stock price can drop or it can go sideways for several years before trending up. It is important that you start early, the youngest the best, so that all of those years that the stock price does nothing, those years go by while you're young. And it is right there where a lot of people quit, because stock price does nothing, they think stock market doesn't work, and they quit. You got to stay the course. Rule number three: always DCA into a security. I wouldn't recommend you buy through a lump sum. It is important that once you made the decision to get into a stock, you can set up recurring buys over the next 3 to 4 months, so that you are gonna get that security at all prices. If the stock price goes down, you're gonna buy more shares. If the stock price goes up, you are gonna buy less. But regardless, it is always a good recommendation to DCA into a security. Number four: stop chasing rockets. Guys, if the stock price has been trending up a lot, it is possibly high priced or overbought. If the stock price chart looks like a hockey stick, you are possibly late to the party. Regardless, you don't want to take the chance. Rule number five: never catch a fallen knife. This is a very famous saying on Wall Street. Like, now we got a few stocks that come to mind. One of them, it could be Nike, the other one PayPal, the other one Adobe, that appear to be very good value stocks. They're great underlying companies, and the stock price has been trending down to where it appears to be a very good opportunity. But guys, never buy a stock just because it went down, because it might take a very long time to those companies to restructure and gain the investors' confidence again. So stay away from any stocks that has been trending down. Rule number six: diversify. Guys, concentration helps to get wealth, but you're gonna need the diversification to keep it. Now, while I am making this video only for stock investing, every asset class included common stocks. Now, common stocks are an asset class, and the history teaches us that every asset class, sooner or later, is going to experience a 50 to 70% job. So whether you are a real estate guy, a crypto guy, a stock guy, sooner or later you are going to experience a heavy drop. So it is important, like Ray Dalio says, you need to find 6 to 8 uncorrelated asset classes that, if for any reason something should happen to one of them, you are protected. Rule number 7, invert. Always invert. This is a famous saying from Charlie Munger. If you look at the 50 or 200-day moving average of a stock price, you realize that sooner or later stock price is going to go back to the mean. Also, ask yourself, like Charlie Munger always did, do not ask yourself, what is it gonna make me rich? Ask yourself, what is it gonna make me broke? And stay away from it. If you invest in complicated derivative, you invest in leverage ETF, you invest in complicated exchange traded notes or leverage notes that is going to charge you a hefty expense ratio. Stay away from all those products. Charlie Munger used to say, all I wanna know is where I'm gonna die so that I never go there. Following rule, stay away from emotions, or rather keep yourself away from the equation. Because every time that we make a decision about a stock, like what should I buy, when should I buy, how much should I buy, there is always the human error possibly involved in that decision. Same thing when it is time to sell. How much should I sell? What should I sell? At what profit percentage wise should I sell? Every time that we make a decision, there is always a chance that we're gonna make an error. So it is important to systematize all the process, and once you came up with the algorithm, keep yourself out of the equation. Following rule, simplicity. Keep it simple. If you cannot explain it in a few minutes to a 10-year-old, possibly you don't understand yourself. So invest in what you understand. This is the circle of competence. Stay within your circle. Following, price is what you pay, value is what you give. It is important to value a business, which usually it's the sum of all future cash flows discounted from today to Judgment Day. Once you get the intrinsic value of a business, well, then you are going to buy that company stock with a margin of safety. Like, it is important that you buy with at least 10% or more margin of safety, because in the case that the calculation was wrong or anything can happen to that company, at least you have a margin of safety. Next, watch for surprises. Disregard the headlines. This is your typical buy the rumor, sell the news, saying very famous on Wall Street. I would stay away from headlines. Oh yeah, you might read the headlines, but I wouldn't react. Especially, I wouldn't overreact. This is all the market is. It is an overreaction. Sometimes it is a overreaction on a positive news, and sometimes it is a bad, over pessimistic reaction on a bad news. It is important that if you believe in the fundamentals of a company, that you stick with it and you stay the course, regardless of how the crowd reacts to a news. Master the cycles. Now we all know that stock market move in cycles. There is a smaller cycle, a seasonal cycle, a secular cycle. It is important that we understand where we are now in the cycle. While it is not easy to make a statement like stock market is overpriced or it is underpriced, we can definitely take the temperature of the stock market. And if it is hot, well, then you might invest accordingly. You might change the weights of the positions that you are buying. It is important that you look at the S&P 500 and understand where we're at in the cycles. And if the S&P 500 is hot, I would stay away from buying individual stocks. I would put my money in safer vehicles like treasury bills. Next in line, buy a business with a moat around it. And of course, this is very famous saying from Warren Buffett, that you need to get into businesses which have a durable competitive advantage. If you can get those companies' stocks at a good price, and you can hold them for a very long time, let time do all the heavy lifting for you, you are going to profit from the stock market. But you're going to stay the course. It'll take a long time. Imagine this, 90% of Warren Buffett's wealth, he made the past year 60. So, and also like he says, the favorite holding period is forever. And to give credit where credit is due, last but not least, this is basically the only rule that you need. Never lose money. Rule number one. And rule number two, never forget rule number one. Guys, when I buy a stock and the price drops, I stay calm. I let time do all the work. That's why it is important that you start early and always have an emergency fund. If you don't know what to buy, I would just park my money in treasury bills. And when the opportunity presents itself, you're gonna have the dry powder to deploy at the right time. And to wrap up this video, I have Warren Buffett here, and I remember he said the best portfolio that you can have, and the portfolio that he has on his will for his wife when he passes is 90% low cost index fund ETF and 10% treasury bills. Now, of course, this is not the topic of this video, but it says a lot. There is a lot that anyone can learn from the best investors of all times. One of them, Warren Buffett. Always have an emergency fund. You can have it in the form of treasury bills. In the meantime, you collect 4% dividend yield, and again, when the opportunity presents itself, you're gonna have a way to deploy it. Well, thank you all very much for watching. I thought that was gonna be helpful. Any comments, questions, feel free to reach out, and happy investing, everyone.